Welcome to our second class. Today's topic will be understanding why we created the Buddhas. And before I begin, I'd like to thank the Grace of Heaven for giving me the opportunity to present this class. Before we go into the class, I want to just review some of the things we went over last week, especially as many of us were not here last week. So this class, you can also attend it online. We use Google Meet. I've already contacted many of you to get your contact information. So every week you'll receive an invitation to attend online during this time. And all you have to do is click the link through either a computer or a smartphone. If you use your smartphone, you have to download an app called Hangouts Meet. And then you'll be able to attend the class online. And here's an example of what the invitation would look like. So you just have to click right here, the joining info. Or you can also dial it in. This number will differ. So this one is just an example. It will differ from the one that you'll be receiving. And then if you dial in, unless you have an app, you'll only be able to hear the audio. You won't be able to see any visuals. But that's okay. Even if you're just hearing, that's better than not having anything. And then I also created a Facebook page. It's called the English Youth Class. It's a secret group, so then you won't be able to find it. But if you want to join, just please contact me. And then the Facebook page will be where we make most of our general announcements about classes, any upcoming events, and where we will be posting the videos of these classes after they are made. And we also created a YouTube channel. If you search Create Value USA, you'll be able to find the YouTube channel. And the YouTube channel is where we are going to be posting these videos. Right now there's only the first video, which was last week's video, which why should I come to the temple? And then so for these videos, we are only posting lecture 1. So in a later slide, I'll go over again the class format. But we aren't posting all of the lectures, which is a good incentive to come to class. We're only posting the videos of the main topics of what we're teaching in this class. And to review, when we come to the temple, we should pay our respects. So when you first arrive, if you arrive through the back door, just go to the front door, and then at the front door you want to give 3 bows to the mature Buddha in the front, and then you want to head upstairs to do your arrival or departure ritual. If you don't know the ritual, you can come find LSC Eric or myself, and we can help you with it. But eventually we will be going over in class the ritual. And then this ritual is just a way to pay our respects to the Buddhas and let us know that we're here at the temple or we're leaving the temple. And then after doing the ritual, you'll notice by the shrine that there's 2 pictures, one on the right and one on the left. These pictures are our elders in the temple. So one of them is the Lao Chen Manzang, and the other one is the Senior Master Yang, our founder of this temple. And both of them have already gone back to heaven, so we also want to pay our respects to them with 3 bows. And then every time you walk around in the temple, if you see a master, you also want to greet the master with a single bow to show to pay our respects. And then temple uniforms. So please refrain from wearing shirts that do not cover your shoulders, such as tank tops. Please refrain from wearing shorts. So refrain from or dresses. So try not to show your legs too. And then try not to wear sandals or any types of shoes that do not fully cover your feet. So essentially, we're trying to show as little of our skin as possible. And the standard uniform for us young adults is going to be white polo shirt, dark blue or black slacks, and black shoes. If you don't have this uniform at this time, that's okay. Try to just wear like a white or light colored shirt, and then wear dark jeans and dark shoes. And then class rules. Please try not to be late. Please try not to leave early. If you do have to do so, that's okay. Please just let LSC Eric or myself know ahead of time, so we can know to expect this. And please refrain from using your phones or talking amongst yourselves during class. And when leaving, please remember to push your chairs. So this is one of the goals of our class, which is the very last point. If you are unable to make it to class, please let the LSCs know through text, Facebook message, or email. This is just a common courtesy, and this way we will be able to know who's attending class each week. And here's the contact information. This is my contact information, and Eric's contact information. Eric doesn't use Facebook as much, so for him, we only listed his phone number and email. And when you contact us, please always make sure just introduce yourself first. We will have your numbers saved after the first time we contact each other, but just in case and to avoid any possible situations, just let us know who you are, and it'll make it easier for all of us. Okay, so common temple terminology. We will be going over this for quite a few weeks, hopefully, so that eventually all of us will learn this. We started this last week, and besides everyone who was here last week, most of us probably are seeing this for the first time, so we'll actually first go over them, and then we'll go back and then test. And we'll do it like a brief test to see how well we've learned these terms. So, at the temple, when you want to refer to yourself as 后学, instead of calling yourself I, me, or 我, you want to call yourself 后学. And you want to refer to others as 学长 or 前贤. So there's two options when you refer to others. There's no preference which one you pick, there's no preference which one you have to use in any situation. It's just you can pick whichever one works easier for you, or you can use them interchangeably. And then you want to refer to yourself, refer to masters as 点传师. So for example, the person that just walked in here was a master cherry or 虚点传师. And then you want to refer to temple hosts and lecturers as, refer to temple hosts as 坛主 and lecturers as 讲师. So these two terms are more specific, and you usually have to know the person in order to know if they fit in this category. And so if you don't know, that's fine. You can just refer to people normally as 学长 or 前贤 at the temple, and that's totally okay. The only exception is you want to refer to a master as a master when you see them. So in our temple, we have 4 masters, and everyone here, we should make it a goal to know the masters, so we don't accidentally call them 前贤 or 学长. Okay, so that was really fast. Can everyone I'm just gonna go through this one more time, and then we'll go back, and then I'll try to ask people to see if you guys remember some of these terms. So can everyone just repeat after me? Okay, so you just repeat the actual words. I'll say this part, and then I'll say 后学, and then you guys just say 后学. So refer to yourself as 后学. Okay. Refer to others as 学长 or 前贤. Refer to the masters as 点传师. Refer to temple hosts as 坛主. Refer to lecturers as 讲师. Actually, let's do this one more time. 后学, 学长, 前贤, 点传师, 坛主, 讲师. And then I'll give you guys an example right now. So, for example, I'm going to use 后学. So, 今天后学在大家面前要present堂课, understanding the reasons why we created the Buddhas. And then in English, today, 后学 myself is presenting to the class the topic understanding why we created the Buddhas. So if you guys notice, instead of using the word 我 or I use the word 后学. And then 学长 or 前贤example is Eric 学长 is in the back of the room working the camera. So this is just so you would say the person's name, and then you would add 学长 or 前贤 after the name. and then 点传师，徐点传师坐在我们班的前面 ，Master Cherry is sitting in the front of our class. And then 谭主任讲师 is also the same situation as 学长 and 浅显. So you would just attach these terms after their names. Okay, so let's practice. Let's first try to do it as a class. So I'll just say this, and then you guys can say the Chinese together if you guys remember it. So refer to yourself as 学员。候学。Good try. Next one. Refer to others as. So yeah, right. There's two of them, 浅显 and 学长. And then refer to masters as. Nice. Refer to temple hosts as. Hanzu, right? And refer to lectures as. 讲师, right? Good job. So I think we're actually most of us have this down. So we'll review this for a couple more weeks. And then hopefully by then you guys will be able to be very familiar with this term, and you can use this even outside of this class to other members of the temple when you're communicating with them. Oh, so I took out the slide, but just to briefly go over the class format again. Our class is from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. and it's every Sunday, and the class is split into two lectures. Lecture 1 is usually going to be covering some fundamental of the religion, while lecture 2 will vary each week in terms of content. Sometimes we will have Master Cherry be leading us in analyzing the sutra, and sometimes we will have guest lecturers that will be teaching different topics. For example, today we have a guest lecture Rosalind, which will be coming down for lecture 2. And then each lecture will be 40 minutes. Lecture 1 is from 10:05 to 10:45, and then we'll have a 5-minute break, and then lecture 2 will be the remaining 40 minutes. And that sums it up for this week's weekly announcements. So let's get started. Today, I will be presenting understanding why we should pray to the Buddhas, and the main topic is first one, the purpose of praying. Second, why should we pray? And then how to properly pray, and then a conclusion. So, when we pray to the Buddhas, praying is the same as worshiping. So when we pray, we should be 3 things. We should be very sincere, we should be devoted, and we should be respectful. And when you pray, praying is like an act of practicing your inner virtues. For example, kindness, humbleness, and compassion. So when a normal person prays, they do not quite understand why they're praying. Most people typically might only pray in special occasions, such as Chinese New Year or paying their respects to their ancestors. But other than those situations, they might not be praying on a regular basis. And they don't actually quite understand why they're praying. They might just have the mindset, praying must be a good thing, so I'll pray. Or I grew up with watching my family pray, and I attend these events with my family. So that's become just it's just something I do, but I don't really understand the reason why. And when most people pray, they usually pray for 2 things. The first is they pray for good health for themselves and their family, and the second is that they pray for wealth or fortune, and that's usually it. That's the extent of their praying. But in reality, there's actually that's not the true purpose of praying. So there's actually 4 main purposes of praying, and the first one is to express our gratitude. So many of us might think when life is going well, there's no reason to pray. You only pray when you need something or when you're like down in the dumps. But actually, it's very important to pray when your life is going well for you too. Because even though it might seem like, even though most likely, if life is going well, it must mean you're working very hard, you deserve it. But at the same time, life is full of ups and downs, and you never know when your luck is going to change or when things are going to start going badly. So you shouldn't just live thinking that, you shouldn't just be living in the moment thinking that because life is going well right now, life will always be going well. Instead, you should be more open-minded and understand that sometimes things can change very fast. And when we are at our best moments, if we are still praying, we are showing that we are paying our respects to the Buddhas, and and because of this, the Buddhas will be blessing us. And the virtue that we'll be practicing in this situation is humility and understanding that even though it might all be due to ourselves, we are not taking all the credit, and we are being humble. The second reason for why we should be the purpose of praying is to repent for wrong deeds. So everyone makes mistakes. It's part of human nature. Sometimes some mistakes are smaller than others, some mistakes are bigger than others, but regardless, this is a situation where it's good to be praying. You will, if you know you've been doing something wrong and you feel guilty over it, you can go and pray to the Buddhas and ask for their forgiveness. So something along the lines of, I've realized I've done this wrong, I've made this mistake, I sincerely repent and ask for the Buddha's forgiveness. This is very similar to a situation such as if you're walking on the streets and you accidentally bump someone. If you, most likely, your natural response will be to say, I'm sorry. And usually people will forgive you because it was an accident. That does not mean, though, that you can go around doing bad things all the time and then think, I'll do the bad thing now, and then I'll just ask the Buddha's forgiveness afterwards and I'll be totally okay. No, this only works when you are actually very sincere and you're learning from your mistakes. So it's an opportunity for you to learn just to learn, sorry. Okay, the third reason, to imitate and learn from the examples of the Buddhas. So many people think, when they think of praying, they think it's usually it's pleading to the Buddhas for something. That the Buddhas are higher order beings with abilities to help us when in our times of need, but that's not actually the main reason. And when we are praying, we should actually be using this opportunity to learn from the Buddhas. So the Buddhas were all once normal people like us too, and the reason they became Buddhas was because during their lifetime, they did a lot of good deeds, they cultivated themselves, and they earned a lot of merit. And when we're praying to these Buddhas, we're saying we realize the importance of these Buddhas and what makes them unique, and we are striving to be more like them. So, for example, when we pray upstairs, there's those sculptures of those Buddhas, and although those sculptures of those Buddhas are only representations, those representations are like symbols for us to remind ourselves of each Buddha's relevance when we pray. And because each Buddha has one or two unique characteristics that also make themselves stand out from one another. For example, the most common example is Maitreya Buddha. The one usually for us upstairs, it's the sculpture in the middle. He has a very big belly, so people always say he's very warm-hearted and kind, and that's what we want to learn from Maitreya Buddha when we pray to him. The other sculptures might not be as obvious, but just to mention them, Nanhai Fall is, when we pray in Nanhai Fall, we are praying for strength and endurance to overcome challenges in life, because during her lifetime, she lived a very difficult life, and she was able to overcome the challenges that she had. And then our teacher Qigong, when we pray teacher Qigong, we are praying to, so teacher Qigong is very known for being very fair and equal to everyone. He treats wealthy people the same as he does to the people in less fortunate situations. So when we create a teacher Qigong, we are also trying to learn how to be more impartial and fair. And finally, the fourth so we do not pray to ask the Buddha for favors, we pray to learn from the Buddhas. And the fourth reason why we pray is to cultivate our character. So in addition to praying to these Buddhas when we pray, we're also praying to ourselves essentially. Because as these Buddhas were also once people, in their eyes, all of us are equal. And that means all of us have the potential to be a Buddha. In the beginning, my chances of becoming a Buddha is the same as LSC Eric. And it just depends on what you do during your lifetime that makes us different, and why some of us are able to become Buddhas and some of us are not. So when we pray, we're also praying to our inner Buddha. And in this way, we're cultivating ourselves and practicing our virtues. One virtue that you can think of right now is the virtue of diligence, or patience. So for some people, praying might be a challenge because you don't really understand why, or you don't immediately see any results. So you might think praying is a hassle. But when you're praying and you're spending a lot of time praying, or you're doing it on a normal basis, you're learning to build patience, and you'll have an inner sense of peace the more you pray. So why should I pray? There's 8 reasons why it's good to pray. The first reason is one's complexion will improve. So if you pray for a long time and you're praying in a proper posture, your body will actually become much stronger because the position is not one that's very comfortable normally. It's not like you just standing or sitting straight. Your back is arched and you have to constantly be moving your hands. So if you have a lot of practice, if you pray a lot, then you're technically building a lot of strength. And if you're also one of those sangzili or shatzili, then you're also using your voice. When you pray on your own, if you always say out the names of the Buddhas, then you're also talking a lot. So your voice will also you'll also be using your voice a lot. And then the second reason is that you can gain the respect of others. So when you pray, you're cultivating yourself. And even if you do not immediately notice it, or you might not really notice it at all, you're improving yourself in the process. And other people might notice, and they might realize that there's many reasons. Praying alone might not be enough. Attending a temple like we mentioned last week, doing good deeds, all of these will have some contribution to improving your character. And when other people notice, they'll have more respect for you. And the third reason is that you can improve your inner strength. So when you are praying and coming to the temple regularly, you will know that you're under the protection of the Buddhas, and you have their blessings. So you will be less afraid of the challenges and difficulties that will come in your life, because you can have a sense that I will be able to overcome this. There's someone greater than me that's watching over me. The fourth reason is you can develop strong bonds with others. So this is very similar to the gaining respect of others. When you are praying, you're also working on your temperament. So if you pray a lot, then you will also become a lot kinder. And if you're kinder, most people will most likely want to be friends with you more. So praying will allow you to also create strong bonds with other people. The fifth reason, the protection of the Buddhas. So this one, there's not much to explain. You'll be protected by the Buddhas. So we'll go into the story. So so used to starting stories with once upon a time. Anyways, there once was this person who was very sick for an entire month, and he ended up falling into a coma-like state, and he was admitted to the hospital. And when he was in this state, coma-like state, he had this dream that he was in this field where he could not tell distances. He had no awareness of his surroundings, and all he knew was that there were these people dressed in yellow around him, and he was very afraid because he did not know what to do. Nothing seemed familiar to him. He did not know anyone, and these people in yellow walked up to him and said, everyone that lives will eventually die, even saints die, and this is now your time. So he realized, oh, I guess I must be dying. Maybe this is what it feels like to die. And then those people in yellow started walking away from him, and he did not want to be left alone, so he started following them. And as they walked, they were walking alongside this yellow river, and eventually they came to this bank. And this bank was the color of the water was extremely dark, and he felt even more afraid because he could not tell how deep the water was. It could be really shallow, it could be very, very deep. He did not know, and he feared that if he was to step into the water, he would never step out, and he might possibly drown. But the people in yellow, they did not show such fear, and they continued their march into the water, and he was about to be stranded again, and he was lost and not sure what to do. All of a sudden, a bright light appeared out of nowhere, or across from him, and he saw two people that looked very golden appear and start approaching him. And when these people in yellow saw these two golden men, they ran away in fear. And when these two golden men got to him, they said, "Why are you at such a sinister place? Come with us, come where the sun shines." And he followed these two golden men, and for about a kilometer or so, and then all of a sudden, he saw out of nowhere his house in front of him, and he walked through the door. When he walked through the door, he woke up, and he saw when he looked around his surroundings, he realized it was the hospital, and there was his wife next to him. He was too tired at the time because he was in a coma for a month, so he didn't really have much physical energy. So he ended up falling back asleep almost immediately, and did not have the opportunity to share his story, to share his dream with his wife. But 10 days later, when he was much better, his wife and him were walking in a small garden next to the hospital, and he noticed there were two small Buddha shrines in one corner of the garden. And when they got closer, he realized those two Buddha shrines, statues, were exactly the same as the two men in his dream. And then because he suddenly remembered, he told his wife what he dreamed about, and his wife replied saying, "When you were in a coma, I was very afraid I would lose you, so I went and brought fruit and offerings, and I heard that these two Buddha statues are said to protect people from disaster and help in the time and be able to assist in times of need. And I guess so. I went and prayed to them prayed every day until he woke up, and he realized that because his wife had prayed to these statues, these Buddhas had helped save him, and the Buddhas may bless you with fortune, prosperity, or at least make life easier for you. And then the seventh and eighth reason are very similar. So ascend to heaven and become a Buddha. So if you pray often, and you continue to do good deeds, then there's a very good chance you'll be able to follow. You'll be able to be like the Buddhas ahead of us and become a Buddha yourself in the afterlife. So how to properly pray? So for most people that go to temples, to other temples, the common way to pray is to use 3 incense sticks, or to just put your hands together, then your head down, and just go like this a few times. But at the Iwandao temple, our way of praying is a little more complicated. So we will often have offering ceremonies where we offer fruit to the Buddhas, and then we will have, and then we do what we call koto. So as you can see in this picture, there's also a proper way to koto, and one of the correct positions is, and you want to have an arched back. So you don't want to try to make your back extremely flat. You want to have a slight curve to it, and then you want to have your feet grounded, feet touching the ground to keep your balance. And when we pray, even though when we pray, we're not just moving our hands. We should also be moving our head too. And we should not be praying with whatever kind of mindset. We should be very concentrated and focused when we're praying. The best situation when we pray is to not think of anything, but that might be a challenge for many of us. So when we pray, one thing you can focus on is the counting, and just follow along with the primary and secondary when they're speaking out the ritual. Or if you also know the Buddha's names, you can also be reciting the Buddha's names in your mind. And if you have good position, good posture when you pray, and it will open your meridians, and there will be better energy flow channeling throughout your body.
I got a quick question.
Yes.
Yes. I'm a Tao member for like over 25 years.
Yes.
And my first 10 years or the first decade here, when we're praying to remember, we mention our name, but I noticed our wisdom, we're supposed to be right there and pray I'm not even sure am I supposed to say it, but to the right window.
Right.
But when we say our name, I noticed after the first 10 years, I noticed temple members are starting to put it into their stomach But for me, I noticed that's not my way of when I was a kid. I go here and pray. I don't bag it into my stomach and say it and pray. You know, 这个上课说，这个归主念唱文的时候，刀心照哪？
It should be in here.
I always think that when you're praying, you're practicing your special window. And no matter what you're praying, your hands and your window's right there. So you just keep healing. Why are we putting it into our heart or our stomach for it when it's like right here?
Okay, when we counting like 1, 2, 3, right? 1 will be in here, and then 2 will be in the.
But no.
Okay, also will be in the machine. And when we say 贵不愿唱文, because we need to say the words, and then we need to wait.
But
okay, so that's one. And this is not like这不是我们规定的.
Oh, it's not like a set rule.
Okay, yeah. So like every temple is the same. When we every time the counting number, 1, 2, 3 will be in the first chamber here. But 贵不愿唱文, the fourth sentence, because we need to wait, everyone read, okay? So we wait here. Yes. This is every temple the same. This is not like we make the rules. We just 这个佛规礼节是暂定佛规礼节，就是先佛让我们怎么做，我们就是现在这样做。
Okay, so for these rules are flexible in that however the Buddhas designate should be what the rules are, then we will follow those rules at the time.
You have a good question. I don't understand. You think it should be in here, right?
And if I was by myself, do I need to say it out loud or just run by your heart and your mind? Because you're just by yourself anyways, and I'm sure Buddha can feel my heart. And
Yeah.
listen.
我们这个是跪读愿唱文，是指跪下来读出来，是有读出来。可是你说我不读出来，只有我一个人，仙佛听不听得到 ？Yes，OK。可是我们整个这一个 section 是跪读愿唱文，我们现在不是默读愿唱文，默就是 OK。Mouth closed. Right now it's 跪读愿唱文是 kneel down and read out. Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
No, it's good to ask questions.
No, for you, because you're attending the class. I have a brother-in-law Remembrance Day, and I missed out because I was in Hong Kong for his funeral, so I have to attend today.
Thank you for attending.
哦，没有，谢谢你说好，你要谦虚，不好意思大家。
That's okay. So you understand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Follow his leadership. Go and have one together.
Okay, thank you.
Alright.
再见大家。
Okay, bye.
Okay, so in conclusion, even though today's class was entirely about understanding why we created the Buddhas, praying alone is actually not enough to get you to heaven and become a Buddha. You also need to do good deeds. I'll explain this through a story. So there was once a person that was doing very bad in life, and they invited a feng shui master to come visit them and try to realize what the problem is and how to solve it. And when the feng shui master came and listened to the situation, the person told the feng shui master, life has been going very badly for all of us. My families, everyone in the family keeps on getting sick. We aren't really doing well financially. My sons are making bad friends. I'm not quite sure what's going on. And the feng shui master's advice is you just have to do more good deeds in order to mitigate this bad karma. Now, this seems like a very simple answer that any one of us here could give. But the reason, and so the person was like, I do a lot of good deeds. Why are the good deeds that I'm not doing helping make my life situation better? And the feng shui master said, can you please elaborate what kind of good deeds you do? And the person said, I pray a lot. For the last 6 or 7 years, I have been very sincere and praying every single day to the Buddhas. I spend money to buy paper money to burn to them, and I also provide a lot of fruit offerings. And the person said, well, besides praying, do you help those less fortunate? Do you donate money to charities? And the person said, no, I don't donate any money. I'm not really well off myself, so how can I donate money to other people? And the feng shui master said, well, if you don't have money, do you help others through physical labor? And the person said, no, I don't think I do that either. Feng shui master then asked the follow-up question. Do you eat poultry, fish, other animals? And the person said yes. And the feng shui master said, do you also buy these animals and release them instead of eating them? And the person was like, why would I do such a thing? Of course not. And the feng shui master was like, so see, this is the reason why you have so much bad luck, because you've not been doing good deeds. You haven't been helping others either through physical labor or financially, and you've just been accumulating a lot of bad merit through the animals you eat. And the person said, well, I mean, I pray a lot. Isn't that a good deed? Shouldn't that at least count for something? And the feng shui master said, even though praying is very important, when you pray, most people only pray for themselves or pray for their family. So praying is one of those that's very limited. It's very limited in that it's not something that helps everyone. So, and because of this, you don't actually gain merit from praying. And you only gain merit from doing deeds that will help others. So, the summary here is that it's very important to pray, but you also have to continue to do other things in order to become a Buddha, such as come to the temple and do a lot of good deeds in life. So it's a lifelong mission to become a Buddha. It's not one of those, I just need to spend a little time and I'll be able to achieve it, or I'll work on becoming a Buddha when I have the time, or when I'm much older, I've retired. You never know when it's time for you to pass, when your time to pass away is. So you should always make it a goal to live your life well and do good deeds and keep on earning merit, so that when the time does come, you'll be able to go to heaven and become a Buddha. So with that said, that ends today's lecture. If I've said anything wrong today, I beg for Buddha's forgiveness, the Dharma Transmitting Master's corrections, and